Wonderful, everyone. So I'm glad you're here. My name is Anita Wilson, and I work with the BDI Leadership Network. And we have several different courses. We have three components that we really cover, and that is we have courses, we have content, we have curriculum, and we have community or cohorts. And so we're a leadership organization, and what we look to do is partner with leaders. And our mission is that we are able to. Let me see if I can. All right, I'm just gonna, there we go. Okay, our mission is to become a transformative force in a substantial network of leaders that breathe fully, dream passionately, and purposefully inspire the world. And so we have this is just some snippets I'm gonna share with you from our discovery course, but one of our focuses is on knowing you and understanding who you are and your identity. And there's such a question about that today in many different realms, and not just today, but when trials and tribulations or challenges are encountered, we naturally begin to question. And so our mission is to help elevate people, to help them lean into who they are. We believe that every individual is unique and divine and created for a powerful purpose. And so how do you lean into those strengths? And so we have many different leadership courses and programs. And so let's see. So I have to, let me try the right tab that's going to get me where I want to go. All right, so I'm going to go beyond this. So we have different phases of our learning, and we call them, the first one is discovery. And discovery is really where this particular course is called Discovering Your Strengths, is where we rest. The discovery has components, and that's the know, and that's understanding yourself, knowing who you are, knowing your circumstances, and understanding how to be your best you in those circumstances. And that leads us to the grow phase, where we're growing and there's growth. And in the growth phase, that's where there's practice over and over. There's processing. If it's like a computer, you've got your know, which is the input. You're soaking in all the input. You're understanding. You're defining your terms. And then the grow is the processing. Or if you're familiar with the classical model of education, there's the grammar that you soak in, right, the world around us, and you're defining the terms. And then there's the growth, that's the understanding, and that comes in community, that comes in asking questions and in conversation. And then there's the go and so, and that's where we've defined it, we understand it, we understand who we are in the circumstances of it, and then we have processed it, and we're able to go and so. We're able to teach others. We're able to apply our learning and our skills. And so this is just a sample of our strengths program, and we really start with the know, and it's unlocking and discovering your strengths, and it begins the journey of knowing a little bit more about you and your purpose. And we talk about identity a lot because that is the core of who we are. And so I'm just going to stand up so I can have a visual of everybody, and that's just what I do. But when we talk about identity, and I hope that's okay, I just do better like this. But when we talk about identity, we really want the individual to come to us and really know themselves. And so growing up, my dad was a military guy. He was in the Navy, and he was very intent on my brother and sister and I knowing who we were and being confident in who we were, and not being focused on being someone else or like someone else. And so one of the questions that my dad asked me every day, and as far back as I can remember, so I have this vague memory of kindergarten, but I remember the question. But the question he asked is, who are you? Every day. And he, though he was military, it was a fun, jovial way, but he would say, "Who are you?" And I would say, "Dad, you know who I am. I'm your daughter." But he pressed in and he said, "No, no, really, who are you?" And he would not let the question go until I answered. And the answer wasn't just, "Well, Dad, I'm Anita, you know that, you named me," but the answer had to incorporate my full name, which was my lineage, right? And there was so much in that. So I had to say, I am Anita Lois. My maiden name is Harris at the time, right? And then I had to continue and say, and I am the daughter of Albert Lee Harris and Dolores C. Harris, right? And then that was not enough, but then I had to state what I believed. He wanted me to consider, what do you believe and how would you articulate it? And it didn't matter. I could say, I believe dogs are nice, and then we'd have a conversation about that. But I grew up in an environment where answering the question all of the time, who am I, right? And I knew who I was. And as I grew and developed, that translated into a confidence in my character and knowing my identity and who I am. And so as people want to grow in their strengths, the conversation starts with our identity, because our identity then also impacts our mindset, right? And so one of the things that we talk about at BDI a lot is something that's not in this presentation, but it's called a triad, and it's your mind, your body, and your mouth, right? Or the way you think, what you say, and your, how you are physically, right? If I sat up here and I spoke to you guys like this, my body is not very engaging right now, and I'm sort of low. Actually, this feels good. I'm sort of low, I'm sort of low energy. But when I stand up and I breathe, right, and my posture is different, and it portrays, it changes my mindset. Now, some of our leaders, our CEO and founder, her name is Mary Alfs, and she is fascinated with neuroscience in the brain. So a lot of the things we do, there's neuroscience and support and all of that. So I'm not going to get into that today, but I'm just saying our body, our posture makes a difference. And then what's in my mind, well, I knew who I was. I knew who my father was. What are the truths that I knew from that? I knew that I was loved, right? I knew that I was created with a purpose and for a purpose. So when I think about my strengths, as I walk into an environment with the confidence of, I'm here for a reason, right? And I have a purpose, then I'm able to enter that environment with a perspective that is eager to engage that. Right, so we talk about that a lot, and then also the words. One of the things I did, I mentioned earlier, I've homeschooled for several years, and one of the things I did early on in my journey was write a family covenant, because we're all different, right? Each one of us are different. Our families are different, and we have an individual, unique purpose, and our families have a purpose. And I've loved going around the room today, meeting different people with different, unique identities and personalities, and seeing how their purpose, their family is impacting the world around them. And so writing out a family covenant is something I did a long time ago, and I resurrected that recently as I have older children that are out of the house or adult. My oldest daughter is on her own. My second daughter is in her senior year of nursing school, and then my son has graduated. He's not sure what he wants to do yet, and so he's looking, he's searching, he's figuring that out. But having that family covenant to go back to, that's visual, that reminds us of who we are, right? That I am uniquely created and for a divine purpose. It helps encourage us, and it gives hope when we're challenged, and remembering that. So we walk forward with that perspective. So One of the other things, you see the fingerprint, the thumbprint we have, is that you're uniquely designed for a powerful purpose. And you often hear this, you can be anything that you want to be, right? Fill in the blank. You can be the next Michael Jordan. I cannot be the next Michael Jordan. I could never be the next Michael Jordan because I'm not Michael Jordan. And if you take a look at me, you know that and if you knew me, you'd really know. So we really want to help people lean into maybe you can't be the next, right? And you weren't created to be someone else, okay? And as much as I try, now practice is good and it improves us and it helps us grow, but as a basketball player, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, okay, I can't even use that because I would be in the negatives, but let's just give me some credit here and say that I am a 1, a solid 1. Okay, that's giving me a lot of credit. I can work hard, right? Just try hard enough. I can work hard. I can do it every day. And you know what? I might be a 2 after that. Okay, so the goal here, and this is a quote from Tom Roth from Strength Finders, which is one of the personality assessments. There's tons of them out there. But I like that he says the sphere of who you are houses both what we have become and the absence or void of who we have not yet become. The absence may be filled with aspirations of being someone else. Don't let an image or a desire or a comparison stop you from becoming who you are meant to be, right? So instead of saying you could be the next whoever, no, you can be more of who you are. And that's really what we look at. So we have leadership programs where people come. We have leadership cohorts, we have coaches, we have business strategists, we have a huge team of people. We have people that are in various aspects of counseling or coaching, and really helping people identify their strengths and lean into those strengths. So I'm going to. I skipped over those. I do want to say something about assessments. Has anyone ever taken a personality assessment? Yeah, yeah. So, and there's a lot of them, right? We probably, of the 6 hands raised, we probably have possibly taken 6 different ones. And one of the points that we like to emphasize about personality assessments is that they give you information and they give you perspective, but they don't define you. So you don't want to take a personality assessment and say, oh, okay, this says I'm this, right? So that's who I am. That gives you insight, right, of how that assessment is giving you feedback. And they're good assessments, but it's important to remember those assessments are meant to spur you on and to set you free, but not to box, contain, or shackle you, right? So I think that's really important. So I'm going to ask a question, and this is just one of the little activities that we do. But what energizes you? I'm just going to ask a question. What energizes you? Ooh, a challenge. Okay. Anything else? Being creative. Okay. Being challenged, being creative. What else? One more. Physically active. Okay. That gives you energy. Okay. So the next question, so keep that in mind that I'll ask. What are you doing when time flies? Like you lose track of time. You look up and it has been hours and you didn't even realize it. Anybody have something? Mine is creating. Yeah, I'm creating. I can just, and I like to finish the project. I can work 24 hours and get the job done and just lose track in it. Okay. Then there's another question. These 3 questions have meaning, but what about does anyone ever said, wow, how do you do that, right? What do you do that wows people? Is there something that you do like, wow, like, whether it's I'm pointing at this a young lady on the front row because I know that she has a wow factor with watching movies, and then you watch the movie. Can anybody else sit down and then start playing the soundtrack? That wows me. I can't do that, right? She can do that. She hears the movie, she falls in love with the music, and she can translate what she heard to those keys. That's wow, right? Whatever, whether it's developing, or sometimes for me that's not my wow. It may be working with people. It may be developing things, right? It may be creating artwork or something beautiful, but it's a wow factor. And the reason we ask these questions is because strengths give clues. As we lean into discovering ourselves, there are clues to things that are strengths. There are clues to things that help you know you, right? And to take back and think about what energizes me, right? What gets me going? What natural talents do I have? And maybe you're aware of those, but then the next question is, are you using them to the fullest, right? Some of those we talked earlier on the panel. It was really great about how our batteries can be depleted and things can suck our energy. But being aware, right, that exercise fills us back up, right, or creating helps us to stay in that place of leaning into who we are. And sometimes things can get busy. So I work with, well, in my household, I have 7 to 20, so I work with all ages by nature. But as a teacher, the last 4 years and probably more than that, really worked with high school and older students, and they get to be where they're working, or they've got interests, or things that they volunteer, and all of a sudden everything gets cloudy, and they're trying to do all of these different things, and their energy is being depleted, and they're not receiving that infilling. And so sometimes just taking a step back and remembering what gives me energy, what drives me, because we need to have that balance in our lives. And so let's see if these are just I'm skipping through this. We talk about the Clifton strengths, and we actually have a class that goes through not just, okay, you took the strengths, right? And it's another strength test. See if there's anything else I want to share from this. You took the strength test, but what did you do with it, right? And so we really walk people through taking in that information and then applying it to life and using those strengths. And we have tools and skills and tools and strategies to help you develop skills so that you're truly leveraging your strengths. So here again, I've got talent, skills, knowledge, personality, abilities. All of these make up the facets of who we are. And so with with the clues, they give you that information, and then one of the tools that we have, I don't know if you've ever seen a balance wheel, a life balance. I don't have one to show you today, but a life balance wheel, if you imagine a wheel with all the different sects, and what are some things that are key? Basic human needs, growth, right? There's contribution. There are there are areas of leadership, of finances, of recreation. Solitude is one of those areas that we have on our balance wheel. Pleasure, and that's one that may not be there, but anyways, if you were to take a wheel and divide it into sectors and say, what are the things that are valuable to me, and where am I spending my time in those things? And we know that if a wheel is out of balance, it's a bumpy road, right? And it takes a whole lot longer to get there. So one of the things that we do is encourage students to lean into where do you need balance? Where are you out of balance? Is it with your relationships? Is it with your solitude? Like, is your life so full and so inundated with work, school, studying, volunteering, achieving that you don't have that margin to breathe, right? So we focus on identifying areas that we're out of balance. And sometimes going back to that, what energizes you, sometimes those things aren't on the priority list. Yeah, this gives me energy, but I've got to do X, Y, and Z and all of these things. But what we encourage is that as we bring balance back to that by leaning into and making space for those things that do give us energy, it helps with the overflow of what we're doing, and it impacts all areas of our life. So we have a lot of different tools. There are many, but the main things that we have that I'll share, we have coaching cohorts for adults, personal, we have business, and then we also have coaching cohorts and courses for young adults and for teenagers. And we really want our young adults to not aspire to be someone else, but to really press into who they are, how they're made, and leverage that to achieve their dreams. And they might not even know what they dream. So one of the exciting things that we get to do is help people dream again and realize those, and instill hope and vision, so that going back to you being uniquely divine for a powerful purpose can achieve those dreams and goals. So just a little snippet of who we are and some of the things that we have, but I appreciate you all letting me share, and thank you for this opportunity.